that would be great. All right, so it might be a little choppy, but feel free to say. Internets are just warming up, so it takes a second. And for hanging out with me, I'm going to share my screen here in a second. And sorry. All right, so it should be good now. All right. Should be better, hopefully. I think everything's coming through now. You know, so yeah. Sorry, Marcy, about that. And everyone, apologies. Check, check. Let's just switch over and get this party started. It'll be fine, really. So let's just do this. Here I am. Yeah, kind of need a break free today because this is going a little slow. So let me boost up the audio. You should be able to hear me. Can you hear me all right? Check, check. Can you guys hear me okay too? Just let me know. Marcy, you're a lifesaver. You can help me. Good now. Just let me know. That'd be awesome. So, yeah, I would really appreciate that. Okay, cool. Oh boy. Thank you, Cody Bear. Let's dive into this. Just wanted to kind of get out of here and break free today. So we're going to do a typography poster. Yeah, and I have some catching up to do. I just kind of had some phrases that I'm working with. You know, stay weird, be kind to your mind, right? Break free. But we're going to just have some fun with some typography, but more importantly, typography effects. Check, check. Am I muted again? Check, check. Can you hear me? I swear I didn't touch a thing and output looks good. But let's try this really fast. Output seems good to me. So let me know. Still? All right, first stream in the new year. So this is fun. Okay, that's fine. If what I'm saying isn't on the screen, that's the least of our worries. So that is okay. And I feel like unmuting this, we might get double audio, but I need to make sure this is. Am I muted again? Check, check. All right. That's the least of our worries. We're going to dive into this. We only have 30 minutes. Audio and video aren't matched. Okay, that is fine because, you know, I could spend 10 minutes working on that and we'd miss the whole thing. So whether it matches up and all that, yeah, so we can get this party started. So here's just some text. I have some different ideas, and essentially I want to make something kind of like this. You could see what I'm doing even with this art right here. So we'll open this up. We can see this. I was just kind of having some fun manipulating type, but more importantly, sort of make it animated. So that's really the goal, is just to have some fun animating this type into something kind of like this. So we can see right here, hit play, Oh yeah, weird and fun. Sorry, the audio is out of sync. Nothing I can do about that now. But yeah, this is the idea. So let's go back in here. We'll go into this. So how do we get, from here to here, right? There's a lot going on. First off, we can play with type all day long. My favorite font lately is Awards, which is kind of cool. So you could feel free to check that out. That's actually from Pixel Surplus. And there's lots of alternates to it, but we're going to go with something really straightforward. And when you're dealing with manipulating type, you want to start with something really straightforward. And so let's take this. And the first thing we could do a number of things with this. I'm going to convert this to a smart object. It's easy to convert this to a smart object and then going into, say, liquify. From there, I can start to push this content around a little bit like I'm doing here. I'm just using a simple distortion, right? Just to give you this impression of sort of like breaking free. So we could do that, pull that out, and play with this sort of all we want, Key thing is you don't want to manipulate the first or last letters too much. That's all I did there, just kind of distorted that way. That's pretty easy. I want to do something a little bit more fun. So check this out. I really like this tip. So for this text, you know what? I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to rasterize it. And I'm going to use the smudge tool. And we can kind of smudge that down. So that's a different distortion effect that's going to give me varying levels of grays. So, all right. So that's what we have. But what I want to do with this is I want to change this. So I'm going to double click on this particular layer style. This layer style, I'm going to turn off all the channels except for red. So notice how it changes my text to red. So this is now going to be the red channel, right? So we're going into advanced blending red channel. Click OK. There that is. And look at how it changes how it looks over here, right? It gives me this little advanced blend modes, basically. I'm going to take this. I'm going to Command J to jump it. For the second one, it's going to be green. That's right. We're going to have 3 layers, red, green, and blue. Right up here, checking green. We'll do something like that. Now we have red. What happens when we mix red and green? It's additive, so it's going to make yellow. Okay? So that's what's going on there. Last one, Command J. This will be blue. Coming in here, let's take a look. And we'll make this blue. Boom. Blue, green, red. And we have this back to white. So this is where we were a second ago. But this is going to be fun because now I could take this blue and I could pull this out and look at how it extends out the blue, right? Even up here, I could extend that out. Let's go to the green, right? So we're adding green to that blue and we get that nice teal color that's transitioning. All based on these channels. Even if I take red and pull that down, you can see the red bleed through. So I really like this look. I just like the idea of this distortion. And that's what I'm doing to different parts of these letters. Pulling that up, getting that weird distortion effect. I don't know if you guys have done this before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I just think this is really, really awesome. You could go nuts with this. In fact, check this out. Marcy, Carlton, everybody who's watching. You could do the same thing with layer folders. So let me just increase the panel options. So right over here, for this layer folder or this layer group, this could be called red. So I could do this with a layer group. That means everything within this folder is going to have that same sort of effect. Why would I do this? Because I want to add a second layer, hit B for brush, and then just start painting. Make sure I got the brush, and it's painting with red. So that's what's happening there. Bingo. Let's just hit it. Boom, boom, boom. Is it really painting with red? No. It's all this particular channel, the red channel. Okay? So that's what's going on there. That's a pro tip you could use. I'm I just kind of pointed that out just for kicks, if you will. Makes it easy if you're going to make just a still image, but we're going to bring this into After Effects. So that's why I want to change just this red to, excuse me, just this layer to red. So now we have red bursts. So there we are. We have red bursts, and we can have green bursts and blue bursts, all that fun stuff. In fact, let's do that. Here's our green burst. Right there. We can add our green. So what happens is we add green to the red. You start to get that yellow, which I like. So I'll switch to this one. I'm technically painting with white, but I'm getting that blend, if you will. So that's what I'm doing. Blue will do the same thing. So here's my blue burst. And let's add a little bit of blue. Look, we get purple. So that's what happens when we add sort of blue to red. We get that cool look. Okay. Sweet. Got it. Got it. Right. So we have some of this that we can start to play with. I can start to paint on these layers. In fact, I'm going to switch my brush over to the soft round pressure and size. And, you know, I can start painting little dots or little swooshes off of these letters and on each sort of segment like I'm doing now. So I could have fun sort of painting this accordingly and adding these bursts. So that's all I'm doing, is kind of getting creative, switching to these different layers and adding those different bursts. Kind of always layering one on top of the other, and you just get this nice look. I think it's pretty cool. So that's one thing you could do. It's pretty easy. I'm set up. In fact, I'm going to save this as break-free animation. I'm going to do one more thing in Photoshop, and then we're going to switch to After Effects. I'm going to add a gradient map. So this gradient map, what does it do? It remaps the colors, whatever was in here, darks to lights, from whites to blacks in this case. But let's change this. Let's go down here. Let's go down to, you know, this sort of purple to orange, which I'm not crazy about. Obviously, we could change it, but it's remapping all of those colors. So rather than painting on those different layers, you can use a gradient map. Again, if you're just making a still image. So I like this color combo down at the bottom. We'll click OK. You know what? We'll reverse this. Click. And now we have this reversed. And that's what gradient maps allow you to do. It's just like reinterpret your images based on this gradient map from darks to lights. Afroja, how you doing? Good to have you here. And what's cool about this is I don't have to worry about what layer I'm on. I can jump in, you know, paint with what I want, and it's always going to give me those colors. So we can kind of do that, whatever. Super fun what you can do. Those are gradient maps. Super awesome. Now, we've done a number of things. I basically have this set up to animate. So I'm going to just save this. In fact, I'll save this. I'll get rid of these, because really these are the layers that I want to use. Blue bursts, green bursts, red bursts. This is what I want to animate. So I'm saving it as a break-free animation. Now let's take a look. Let's jump in here. This is our goal of what we're going for. This is what I showed at the beginning. You know, this craziness. So we're going to have fun sort of along those lines. Well, let's just jump out. Let's go grab our image that we just made, this break-free animation, drag it into After Effects, and make everything, put it all in a composition. Double click, here we are. So look, isn't that nice? What was once in Photoshop is now in After Effects. So here we are, Photoshop. We could see our layers off to the side. If I move these down here, notice how these layers match up. So we have our layers, blue burst, all that good stuff. I move this over, you can see blue burst, blue, down the line. You get it. Cool, cool. I don't know. I really like After Effects. I don't need those two layers, but I do need these other ones. So as I turn these on and off, you can see it actually maintains that advanced blending. So if we go in here, and I know I'm covering a lot, right in here, look, it's actually manipulating. It has the blue channel turned on, which is why this is called blue burst. So this we don't have to worry about because we already set this up in Photoshop. Okay, so that's already set up. And now we could just kind of have fun with this stuff, like whether it's the blue burst or the blue text. Let's move that over. See, there's my blue text. Oh, that's kind of neat. But now we could start to bend this stuff. So it needs to be kind of bent around. That is the plan. And we could do this a number of ways. I like going into distortion, and we could start to sort of manipulate this text sort of any way we want. I'm going to take this, maybe this mesh warp. There's a couple of these I could do. Let's put this on top. And by the way, you can take any effect and drop it right on that layer, right? So now we have this distortion mesh. Let's take a look at it. Under effects, here's my mesh warp. This distortion mesh is going to enable me to add a point there and then just pull that up. So now we're able to manipulate that from point A to point B. Now, before I do this, what I want to do is turn on this little stopwatch. It says, hey, you know what? Go ahead and animate it. It gives me this keyframe. So this is always going to be the starting point. And then 1 second in, have some fun. Take this, pull it up like that. Take this point, pull it down. And just have some fun sort of moving things around. Nothing too crazy, but just enough. So now we can watch this change, kind of distort like that. Zoop. In fact, you know, let's put one right down here and really have that sort of stretch out. And that's what we have going on. It's kind of stretching out that blue. And we can go a little bit further and play with this some more, distort that over this way, push it that way. It's just this type, it's trying to break out. It's like, let me go. Pulling that out, coming back in, pushing this back in. You're just having fun from this point on out. Sort of manipulating this by keyframe if you want to, and there are also easier ways. But all I'm doing, the main point here is I'm just changing that effect over time. So now we can watch it play. We can see it stretching out and distorting the way we want to distort it. Right. Pretty simple. And usually what I'll do, maybe I only want to make this last for 5 seconds for one, because I only have 30 minutes. I'll bring it back to this first keyframe. So I'll copy this keyframe right here, this little keyframe. We'll copy it, Command C, go clear to the end right down here, Command V, and it appears because we want it to start and end in the same spot. So it's going to be a looping animation. Then now we have that squared away for the blue channel. We can copy that and do the same for the green channel and for the red channel. And let's take a look at it. The green channel distorts the same way. I just do that because I'm like, okay, that's where that is. And I can kind of move it accordingly. Maybe that's offset a little bit more. But that's what I do. Kind of manipulate each one of these because I kind of want them to kind of be the same direction, but off a little bit. So I'm just using that blue as like another starting point, and makes it easier on me, you know? Just those little distortions. We're having fun, why not? Let's take that, let's copy it, let's do that for red. U is the Uber key, which means show me all the keyframes. And there it is, showing me all the keyframes, moving it. It gets crazier and crazier, and I'm here for it. Break free. Do your thing. Do your thing. Zip. Isn't it getting nuts? So we just need to make sure the first keyframe and the last keyframe match up. So sometimes I have to copy and paste again, but we went ahead and made this animation. We'll click play, and it's doing its thing. Hello, Bruce. Bruce, how you doing, man? Good to see you. That's just one, but you can add any number of these. Spherize, and you might start adding a number of effects to all of this. Something even easier to do is, rather than adding all these effects yourself, there are presets you can use. So I'm going to take this break free animation. We're going to create a new comp from that selection. This is our break free final. And in here, for this whole thing, let's go up here to animation presets. Let's go into some special effects. Let's give it some bad TV 1 warp. And we'll drop that on there. And look what it did. It will give you that sort of bad TV warp, which I think is really cool. What is it made of? Of a bunch of these. Oh, look, Venetian blinds. That's where the stripes come from, or the static from the TV. So if I click play, it might take a second to render, but we have that cool look that we could always manipulate as well. So it's like old technology trying to break free is kind of the idea. So honestly, we did a lot in a short amount of time. I'm like so impressed with this. There's some additional things we do, even if I go back into this one. Let's turn this one on. Go back into this one right here. Here it is. CC Light Burst. I love the CC Light Burst. It's in there too. And I can add that. But here's the final. We could always search for CC Light Burst. And I want to drop it inside of, drop it right in here. When we apply effects, it does it from the top down. So I actually want this CC Light Burst to be on top of all those other effects, which is the TV effects. So there we have it. We have this break free. Look at that. CC Light Burst. Hard to read. I'll adjust it later. But you have to admit, I don't know, at least for me, I think that's pretty impressive. Let's take a look at this one. May or may not be my final, but here it is. Something that I just posted the other day to Instagram. So we'll click play. We can see how a lot of that's getting a little crazy. But you could see the potential that you have, hopefully with After Effects and Photoshop. And just to recap, here's where we are. This one's actually turning out even better because I think it's easier to read. Okay. I'd maybe tone down the intensity of this light burst and the ray length. I don't know. I could transition some colors and all sorts of things. But at the very least, you learned how to do something like this, which I think is pretty awesome.